Woo! Hello, everybody out there. I'll be right with you in just 1 second. What should today's title be? I think today will be called Stormy Weather because why not? It's fitting for outside, right? Woo! Hello, everybody out there in Facebook land, TikTok world, YouTube, anywhere else clips and live little streamies are gonna go. Welcome to 412 Productions. I am your host, Monty Anderson, here at 412 Productions, as we just said. Now, the title of today is Stormy Weather. Because right now, pop a cold one, my V8 Energy cold one. Today, it is storming yet again. It's supposed to rain until about 3 o'clock this afternoon here in Arkansas. But we will see. It's already been storming throughout the night. The dog woke me up with a big paw to the face with some thunder that was happening out there, and she hates it. She does not do the thunder stuff. But, thunder happens, and no, I'm not going to sing some Garth Brooks song, Thunder Rolls, okay? Number one, I don't like country. And if you don't like me enough for that, bye bye. No, really. She hates thunder, and, it's been rolling most of the morning, and it's supposed to roll more this afternoon. So that means also that a lot of the birds won't get a lot of yard time today. So I will have to work on that as well. And then I've got the little dude who's going to get fixed today, our new little pig on the homestead. We're going to cut his testosterone just a little bit. He's only 3 months old. He's trying to mount on everything except for me, and which I'm good with that. Mount on everybody but me. You know, but yeah, he goes and gets fixed today at 4 o'clock. So that's going to be most of our day. This afternoon is going to get that taken care of. Get nipped in the bud. Get him nipped in the bud. But welcome, everybody. Welcome for showing up to the show, sticking around and listening to me talk about comic books, artwork, movies, Antarctic Press titles that we are an initiator with, an initiative with, Been Done, and Antarctic Press. Today is their next drop. I will be posting my video for the monkey pin. Let me double monkey peak. Monkey peak is what it's called, and that one is going to be super long. Monkey Peak Volume One. Uh, it was a collection of manga books out there, and it also, is 220 pages long. So that's why I'm editing and things like that right now as a video. And so it will be released. And then next time, next time on 412 Productions, which is the fourth, um, yeah, Sunday the 4th, we'll be talking about the next book drop that is going on with Antarctic Press, which drops today. So we went out and about and picked up some things yesterday. Picked up this cool little shirt. This demon samurai. I like it. And we went some clothes shopping for the girlfriend, and because she needs some clothes. It's not like we don't have clothes, but she needed some new stuff. A lot of her pants and things like that are worn out. Picked me up some new shorts, thinking, "Oh yeah, this will be great." Didn't fit. They were too big. It looked like I dropped about 30 pounds. Whenever I put them on. So it was just like, yeah, I guess I should have tried them at the store, but I'll be taking those back and getting some more, or exchanging them for something different, or maybe just not even worrying about it at all. And but it is what it is. You know, sometimes you think, hey, these will work, and then you get them home, and it's like, well, damn, they didn't work. So I'm very, very close to completing this comic book cover for the company. Next couple of days, it should be completely finished, and I'm happy about that because it looks awesome so far, and I hope they love it as well. And I know they do because they are, you know, I send them pictures periodically of the whole thing, and they're loving it so far. But please like, share, and follow, and get some more of your friends over here to talk to us and all that good stuff. That goody good stuff. Um, Also, sometime this week, I'm going to be in talks with. Well, this week's almost over, and he hasn't called me yet, or hasn't texted me yet. But I'm also working on his logos as well as we speak. Um, Another book work in the works, and then from there, I've got some design work to do on a new comic book project that a movie producer and I are working on. And so things are picking up, things are looking up, and it's very cool. Um, that feeling is very cool, and it's one of those things that's just like, wow, things can turn in a heartbeat whenever you do certain things. And it's just like, whoops, let me put this number up there real fast. There we go. And it's just like, you've waited so long for productivity to happen, and I'm about to sneeze. Bless me. That now what are you going to do? It's just like bombarded because I've got the the comic book work in the projects with Jason Pitts, a horror western. I've got a essay to write for a potential published work in a magazine or book that will be sitting alongside of doctorates and scholars and things like that already have books and writings out there in the world. I mean, I've got writings out there in the world too, so I am a published author. Um, but I don't consider mine relevant works, if you will, just because mine were music reviews of different bands and things like that the current that used to be around here in Fort Smith, Arkansas, was publishing. I don't know if it's still around or not, but I actually have those publications in a footlocker. Yes, military footlocker. And so, I've got all the ones that I was published in, saved up. And so, and it's just like, I've had published work out there before, but to be alongside of scholars and doctorates, the people that have books and writings out there to that influence, or things like that, to have my work potentially, I'm not saying it's going to be published in there, potentially side by side with their works, that's pretty exciting, you know. And then so there's that, and then there is also another potential work with another uh, podcaster, um, writer, that he's got his own comic book out right now that we could be doing some work together in the future. Now, this started with William Russell with Psycho Sal #3, where he graciously put me on, or asked me to do a piece for his Psycho Sal, his own creation, and that's where my very first professional comic book cover came out, was on Psycho Sal #3. I have the artwork sitting right up here on my wall, and just like I have my Alien logo, just the Alien, not the rest of this, because the rest of it was created in W Illustrator by me. It wasn't AI generated. And So this logo behind me, right here, let me get out the way. The alien is sitting on my wall as well, and that's for you guys, which is over here, right here. The alien logo right here. That alien drawing is on my wall, black and white. Now, so whenever I do my comic books, and that's what I've got to get with Jason Pitt about, if he wants my moniker on it or if he wants a combined moniker of his logo, my logo, because he's got Lucid Lake Entertainment or Lucid Lake Productions, whichever one I think it's Productions, and then I've got 412 Productions. So I could put both logos in the corner where the money box goes and all that stuff for the comic book that we're working on. And of course, it'll have his name first because he's the one that created this whole thing, this whole world. And then his name, my name, and then whoever, if we have color covers and things like that, which I'm sure we will. And I'll probably use Dave and Dan Kemp out of Kemp Studios out of California, I believe is where they are. I could be wrong about where they are. And I apologize, guys, because I love you guys to death. I love your artwork. You are what makes some people's artwork sell. Okay. And so, um, these guys, Dave and Dan Kemp, they work on, you know, Marvel and DC and Image Comics works. I mean, they've done enough stuff for Todd McFarlane and Spawn that you could choke a horse with it. All the pages that they've colored for him. And, they Dan Kemp was the one that told me, was it Dan? Yeah, it was Dan, that don't change my style, which I've got a specific style that I do whenever I do the shadow lines on a figure. And I haven't played too much with it in the form of pages and things like that, which I will look to see if it's going to work. First of all, whenever I do my own comic book, I don't know if I'm going to be brave enough to try it on the Jason Pitt project, the horror western that we're working on. And I'm not saying that I'm not brave. I'm just saying that I don't want to fuck it up, you know, because this one is probably going to move a lot faster than my own works, and so I'm excited about that. So there's three potentials right there. Then I'm working and almost finished with this comic cover for the company that I'm working with right now. And Patrick, great dude, wants to know more about you as a person. Now, most of the people I've dealt with are business, 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 business. Okay. They don't care about your personal life. They don't care about what's going on in your life. They want the deadline. They want the bottom dollar. How much do you charge? What are you going to charge me? What else do you want? Do you want comps? Do you want, so on and so forth? And they don't give a shit to know about your personal life. What's going on in your personal life? Are you sick? How are the kids? How's your girlfriend or wife? You know, how's your car running? What's been going on personally with you lately? Those type things. And that is where a lot of comic creators get it wrong, in my opinion. And again, everything that I'm talking about is my opinion. We all have our opinion. This is my platform right here. This is my opinion. Nothing I say is 100% set in stone until you see it in physical form, you know, like this figure. This is in physical form. We know it's in the box. We can hear it. We can hear it rattling around. Have I seen what's in this box? No, it could be a box of rocks for all I know. Because why? This is still sealed with the original tape that this came in. This is limited to 2000. This one will never see the light of day. Okay? Now, I might buy another one that's already been opened, out there because they're relatively cheap if you think about it. I mean, roughly about 25 bucks. Now, they do have some that are autographed that people are selling for, closer to 45. But I can go to any comic book convention and get Brian Paluto's signature that he's at and have him autograph this one like I've had him autograph a ton of other Lady Death and Evil Ernie merchandise that I've got, including the box that I used to take to comic book conventions on a regular basis. And that was one of the first times he ever signed something that wasn't a comic book or a card, because he was like, "Hey, just bring anything you guys want. We'll sign anything," you know. And that was kind of funny, and we laughed about it. And it was like, "Hey, dude, I take this everywhere, and you see all the other signatures that are already on it." I mean, at that point in time, Stan Lee was on it, you know. And 1997, I met Stan Lee. Yes, and that was the days before phone or pictures and authentications and things like that. Because I saw a guy in a comic book forum who had a Stan Lee signature on a Spider-Man card, and he had it done back in the 90s. I think he said it was like 93 or 94 that he had that autograph done on the back of the card. I don't know why it was on the back of the card. That's the weird thing to me. I would have had it on the front with Spider-Man on it. But it got kicked back by CGC because they said not an authentic autograph is what he came back as. And he was like, I witnessed this in person. Stan Lee signing it. Yes, there wasn't a picture because he didn't have a camera, and phones didn't have cameras that great at that point in time. They came out, but they weren't great pictures, and I don't think he had a phone like that. He said, um, he can remember the comic book convention it was at. He can, he tells the whole story, so he knows it's 100% authentic. Just like I know mine's 100% authentic on my box. And I used to have I had a Spider-Man comic book that was signed by him as well. But that's the bad thing about something that was signed back in the 90s or even the 80s, you know. You can't truly authenticate it unless you had a Polaroid picture going on, unless you had um, uh, a camera with film in it, um, or even a movie camera at that point in time. And then you were a rich ass at that point in time as well. Because most people couldn't afford the cameras back in the day because they weren't made to be affordable. They were made for the rich people. And now everybody's got a camera on their cell phone. So now everybody's a photographer, you know. And I've seen photo shoots that are done in nothing but camera, phone. Not just a camera, but camera phone. You know, and I'm like, that's not a true, you know, photo session. Me, I've got two digital cameras over here. I've got a whole rack full of old cameras that take film, um, from 8 millimeter film to, you know, stuff that you can't even find anymore. Which most of that stuff in there you can't find anymore. We just picked up a new camera as well that the girlfriend got excited about, and it's the first time I've seen her get excited over something in a very long time. So we had to get it, and it was a cheap price, you know. Considering, I mean, it was $30, $35, I think is what it was. But those cameras normally go for upwards of 120 to $200, you know. And so to find it at $35, it was just like, okay, done, sold. You know, I'm not even going to squabble about the price because it's making you happy, and that's what we need to do as a society. If we see our boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, excited over something and we can afford it, why not get that for them? It might not be a 100% necessity to have or want or need, but if they get that excited over something, or even if it's a friend of yours that gets excited over something and you can afford it, why not get that for them? You know, I mean, is it going to hurt you that much? I mean, is it going to put you in a financial deficit? If it is, then don't do it. 100%. Be wise with your money. And I'm speaking from experience because I haven't been wise with my money. I've had money and I've squandered it away. Okay. And that's on me. I should have kept things in savings. I should have not done this. I should have not done this. I should have not done this. But you get into that mindset, holy shit, I've got money. I can get things now. And that's not the case because you've got to look long term with your money. Now, if you're making, say $8,000 or $10,000 a month, which some people do, because some people have only I can't say the rest of it. OF. Some people have um, PH. Some people have a huge conglomeration that they work for. Some people were born into money, you know, and at that point in time, it's just like, why is spending this amount of money on someone that gets excited over something a hardship for you if you are set financially. You know, me, I'm not set financially. I grew up in a household that looked like they had money, but they were spending beyond their means. And so that tends to keep creeping into my lifestyle periodically. And it hurts later on because you rob Peter to pay Paul, and then it just gets into a huge mess of things, and then you're right back where you started. So you have to change that mentality of, like, I can go. Let's take Mercari for example. I can go on Mercari, find the comic books that I want, put them all in the cart, and then check out and make an offer and see if they accept that offer. But do I really need those books that or whatever it is off of Mercari that I'm looking at? Can I afford it long term? Because, okay, say I want this whole collection of Clive Barker books that this person is selling. I put it in my shopping cart. I make them an offer. Say it all comes up to 400 bucks. Let's just throw that out there. Because some of Clive Barker's works are more expensive than others, especially if it's an autographed work or if it's got a hand drawn picture with it and things like that. So say it comes out to 400 bucks. I offer them 300, so $100 less than what it is in the shopping cart. They come back with a counter offer of 375. I offer 325. They come back with 350. We agree. I spend the $350 on, say, 8 books of Clive Barker's work. One of my favorite authors. One of my favorite horror authors. And I get them in. I check them out. I'm loving all the work that I'm seeing. I put them on my library shelf with all my other Clive Barker books. And then they just sit there and collect dust. Did I really need that $350 purchase of those books just to have to collect dust? Because I'm not going to read them. That's what it boils down to. Now, some of the stuff that I get right now, like this figure that I paid some money for, not a lot. I paid 25 bucks for it, I think, which is comparable to your action figures of today. Okay, that are like this right here, that are in this packaging that you can see them. You know, this is a 24.95 action figure at Walmart. Okay, this one I actually picked up for. I think I picked him up for like $8 at an antique store. You know, did I need it? No. Why did I pick it up? Right here, Jolly artwork. They did the action figure in Jolly style. Jael and then Lee as the last name. He did a whole run of Prince Namor, and phenomenal artwork. I love his artwork, just like I love Jim Lee's. I love Barry Windsor Smith. I love Bernie Wrightson, Frank Frazetta, Mike Plug. The list goes on of the creators that I love their artwork of. But did I need that figure? No. Is it going to collect dust? Of course it is. Just like this figure will not collect dust. The box will collect dust. Yes. But there's so many action figures that I own, but do I need them? Because are they ever going to get displayed outside the box? Fuck no. Because as soon as I break that seal, I just drop the price of that that figure, because the box now is an unsealed box. And that's why you get the Star Wars fan collectors that want that pristine carded figure. They don't want it loose for the most part. Now, most people that do get the loose figures like that will display them out. And from there, they will have them in a glass case. Some people will have a shelf with them on it and things like that. But me, if I have a loose figure, I put it in a plastic clamshell, and it goes on my wall. And so the box will get dusty, and I wipe the box off periodically. And do I dust all the time? No. I look at my office right now. You guys can't see it. You guys up here even can't see it on YouTube and Facebook. But if you could see my office right now, it is a fucking train wreck. Okay? And I'm fixing that today. Today is the day. Praying to whatever powers out there. Whatever you pray to. And I'm gonna get this place ship shape. A lot of these comic books are going in a new spot that I just found out will work. I just have to make it work. Um, but we'll see, because I want to make sure that they're safe. And when you get a pig in the house that likes to chew on boxes, what are these boxes made out of? Paper product, cardboard. And I don't want them damaged. You know, it's out of a flood zone, but there's still a potential that water could come in because I've got a window unit in the wall, um, that potentially leaks on not a regular basis, but sometimes it leaks because it gets clogged up and all that stuff. So there's a lot of factors that I've got to look at before I start moving everything where I want it. But I think it will potentially work 100%. So I'm looking forward to that move and migration. That way I can start getting some of these boxes out of the fucking way, that I can move around in my office, on an easier basis. There's a lot of trash in here that's got to go away. A lot of shit that I don't use, and a lot of shit that needs to find its new place, a new home. Um, because I need everything set up again the way I need it to be functional for me. And that's a philosophy in life that we need to learn, is to declutter periodically. Is this serving any purpose for me? No. Why do I still have it? Can it be sold? Most likely. Will someone buy it? Probably. So then why do I still have it? Is what it boils down to. And if there are things in your life that you need to declutter and um, put out there to the universe for other people to have, why not go ahead and do it? Um, and it's just like, we want to hold on to things on a regular basis. And it's like, why? I ask my mother the same thing sometimes. Because she's held on to things from a first house fire that they had. Well, the only house fire that they've had. And it's now out in the shop, out in the shed, two different sheds that they own on their property. And it's like, Mom, why? I mean, yeah, some of them are collectible items, like Brat dolls and uh, Barbies and things of that nature. But it's just like, why, Mom? Why did you hold on to this stuff? It's smoke damaged. It's ruined for the most part. Um, and my brother and I are just like, let's just burn it all when it's time. Whenever they pass on, let's just burn it all. I mean, we'll probably end up having an auction and all that stuff, but as far as, you know, a true value in there, I don't know if there ever will be a true value of what she has. And I'm sure that there is a collector for all the stuff that she does have. You know, it's just like my childhood memory right here in the form of Gizmo. You know, still articulate, still, still today, he is very relevant. People still love him. You know, I'm turning his head, folks. So see right there. And this little guy was from 1984, made by Warner Brothers, 1984, Lynn Toys Limited. He was all smoke damaged. I used to play with this as a kid. He was smoke damaged. I brought him home, I cleaned him up, popped his little head off, you know, got all the water out of him, cleaned him up for as good as I could, and he still looks great. You know, 1984 right here has hardly seen the light of day. Because when I played with him, he was in the house. I didn't take him outside and all that stuff. But 1984. A lot of you that are watching right now probably weren't even born at that point in time. 1984, and he still looks great. Doesn't look a day over one. I mean, I mean, I'm sure he is faded just a little bit, uh, and his white isn't as white as it used to be. But again, that's taken off smoke damage because if you see right there on his foot, you can see how smoke damaged he was. So whenever I washed him off, my sink became black almost because there was so much soot and dirt and debris on him, from the fire that he didn't look like this whenever I brought him home from my parents' house. So this is really nice for what he looks like now. And he's on his rightful spot up here, and he's back with me, one of my childhood toys. Now I sold off the rest of my childhood toys, and I shouldn't have. I sold off my He-Man, my GI Joe, and my Star Wars collection. And now as I look at it back at it now, because I sold that back in like '96 or '97 at one of the comic book conventions in Tulsa, I believe it was. And as I look back on it, I should have kept all that stuff, but I hated lugging the box around from house to house that I moved into, and so it was just like, well, I can sell these, make some money, and it ended up being a lucrative deal at the time because I think I got $600 for all of it, and I got 300 in cash, 300 in trade. So I got $300 worth of comic books. I got $300 cash, those type things. And I thought that was a lot of money back then. But as hindsight is 2020, if I would have held on to them today, cleaned them up, put them in their clamshells, I probably potentially had $100,000 worth of action figures, or more, you know, due to some of the figures that were in there. The original Snake Eyes, um, the one of the sought after toys in the GI Joe world. I mean, I had all of them. You know, not all of them, but I had the majority of the ones that were sought after. And as I look back on it, it's just like, yeah, I should have kept all that because I mean, whenever the guy was buying up a Han Solo blaster for $5, I knew something was up then, but it was already too late at that point in time. So, and I could have reneged on the deal and been like, no, I'm gonna take these back home with me. But then the wife would have killed me at the time, and you wouldn't be seeing me today. but yeah, it's one of those things that you look back at all the stuff that you've had in your hands growing up, and you look at the price of it now, and it's just like, I own that. I own that piece of memorabilia right there that's going for $400 for one action figure, you know, even a loose action figure at that. And it's just like, um, man, I wish I still had it right now today. Because how easy of a sell would that be today, in today's society, whenever people can see it in every social media platform out there, from eBay to Macari to Facebook to Instagram to YouTube, TikTok, whatnot, um, Flip, anywhere that has a live or a recorded aspect to it, or even just pictures of it. How easy of a sell would it be today? And how much more could you get for it today? You know, but that's neither here nor there anymore because that's all over with. That's all done. Yes, I've been buying up some of the toys that I used to have, from back in the day, like my War Duke over here from Dungeons and Dragons. Um, it's just nostalgia. Do I need it? No. Should I have spent the money on it? Probably not. I should have paid this with it. I should have paid this with it. I shouldn't have, done this with it. And it's just, again, hindsight's 2020 with it all. Because when we're kids and we're playing with something, even a Hot Wheels, we didn't know that there was going to be a value in it later on. We didn't realize that there was going to be collectors for this stuff later on because we were kids. We were playing with this stuff, you know? And it's just like, why do I want to keep it in a package when I can play with this thing? I used to shoot my Obi-Wan Kenobi with a BB gun. I found it years later, and one of them still had, or the Obi-Wan that I had a BB still stuck in his head, from when I used to shoot him with the BB gun, you know? And then I ended up just trashing that one. So it's just like we used to play with our stuff. We didn't used to just get it and keep it in a box, you know. And that's our life sometimes is that we have our life but we keep it in a box. We don't let our life out, you know, because we're scared of what could happen if we let our life out to other people. Are they going to make fun of us? Are they going to ridicule us? Are they going to look at us differently? Are they going to, you know, go gossip about us to other people? Are they going to, the list goes on and on of the fears that we can hold on to in our lives. Excuse me. And if that's how you're going to live life is by fear, that's not a life. That's a prison sentence. You as a kid, I was afraid of a lot of things, but I still did it. You know, like riding a bike and ramping it for the first time, scared to death. Because these ramps weren't small ramps. We didn't know what small was back in our day because we had total BMX courses out at the YMC park, and we had tons of bikes out there. BMX bikes and people. You'd get the people that were truly scared, and they would hit the ramps, but they would hit it very softly. No, I was flying. I mean, I was flying. I looked like a dirt cross bike hitting one of those ramps. That's how fast I was going down the little hill to hit that ramp. To make sure I got some air. And then we would make our own ramps out of whatever we could find, at home. And we were popping wheelies, or we were doing the front wheelies, or you know, we were all kinds of just different things that could have ended our life as children, you know. But did it stop us? Not most of us, you know. That's why we became rebels when we grew up because we didn't fit in the mold. Um, so, crawling through these uh, drain uh, pipes, as a kid, we could have died and no one would have known where we were because we didn't have cell phones back then. We told our parents where we were going, but that doesn't mean that's where we were by the time it was all said and done when it was time to come home. Because like back in the day, we would start at one friend's house and they knew that's the house we were going to. And then we would go to this friend's house, and then from there we would go to this friend's house, and then this friend's house, and then this friend's house, and then this. And by the time we were done, we probably already visited 10 different friends, in our area. And so our parents knew where we were going originally, but they had no clue where we ended up, for the most part. And but we always made it home. We didn't. Back in my day, Shunny, we didn't. We didn't. Worry about all the dangers of today of being kidnapped and taken out into a field or things of that nature. because in some aspects we kind of knew how to take care of ourselves because 100% we almost raised ourselves, you know. And with that, it's just like um, you did a lot of things that could have ended your own life, and not because we wanted to end our life. It was because of stupidity, you know. We didn't know better. We loved that thrill. We loved that adrenaline rush. I mean, hell, we would ride our bikes, or we would pull our bikes up the slides and then go down those metal slides on our bikes, you know. And so fear was there, but it didn't control our life. We let that adrenaline rush hit. We let that fear subside, and we lived life. And so many people right now, today, probably even watching this channel, aren't living life. And what did you want to be growing up? Is it what you're doing now? Mine is. I wanted to be doing artwork full time. Guess what? That's what I'm doing. I wanted to have a garden where I could get my own vegetables out of it, my own fruits out of it. I've got it. I wanted to work for myself. I'm doing it. Now, I also, as a child, wanted to be a firefighter. I wanted to be in law enforcement. I wanted to be in the military because you always do those things. You play cops and robbers. You play, cowboys, Indians. You play uh, military, war, and out of those three, what did I do? Military. I followed in my grandfather's footsteps, 45th Infantry, and so I fulfilled one of those lifelong dreams as a child, but the rest of it, I never became a firefighter. I never became a police officer. My brother and sister did. My grandpa was a fire chief when he retired in 71 and worked for the city of Bethany until 84 when he fully retired and then moved off to Hugo, Oklahoma. Him and my grandmother. And then from there, yeah, I had dreams of being an artist as a kid because I was drawing all the time, drawing constantly. But at that point in time, I didn't see that as a goal, if you will, because I wanted to be a firefighter more. I wanted to be a policeman more. I wanted to be, other things more. But then, you know, basically right out of high school, got my wife pregnant, so that's how we became husband and wife. Um, and so I didn't have that freedom to do or I didn't think I did to do what I wanted to do because I let fear hold me back from living life. And that there's a lot of regrets in there for allowing fear to take over so much that I didn't live life. And you look at me and they're like, "You're a big dude. Why did you fear things?" And it's just like you fear certain things. You fear leaving your kids behind. You fear leaving your wife behind at the time. You fear, not having things settled, like money in the bank for them or a life insurance policy or, those type things. And so you do the easy stuff. You work at a grocery store. You're a cashier, a stocker, a bag boy, whatever. And you float through life doing the easy stuff. Well, where does that get you? I'm going to sneeze again, I think. So, where does that get you in life? Does that get you anywhere in reality? No. What can you change? What is it in your life that you can change right now to get some of that fear or anxiety out of your life that holds you back from something? Is it a financial obligation? Is it a husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend situation? There you go. Mr. Holt is in the house. Nothing takes you anywhere but self. Self is important. You've got to have that self awareness and that drive. Mr. Holt is drive. If I if I wanted to look up to anybody, it'd be this guy right here. Because this guy has drive. This guy has initiative. Mr. Kirk Holt here is just an awesome dude all the way around. And yes, he's bought artwork from me before, but that's not why he's awesome. You know, his life that he's lived from point A to point B, and the things that he's done in his life, in his military career, and things of that nature. I look up to this guy, you know, and we are trying to talk on a more regular basis than we have in the past. And sometimes life gets in the way of that on both sides of the fence, not just his side, not just my side, but on both sides of the fence. And, you know, we're both busy. I mean, this guy's running multiple businesses right now. Me, I'm running my business, but there's multiple aspects to it right now. There's the movie producer, comic books in the works. There's the essay to write for this book. Um, the potential of working with another comic book creator. There's my own comic books in the works. There's commissions that I'm working on currently right now, which is like 5 different commissions at this very moment. And so things get in the way of allowing us to, talk on a regular basis. And I apologize to you, sir, for that. And but we still communicate with each other in some form, fashion, or another. Text message, messenger message, however it comes out right here. Um, no, no, I don't. Not really. You guys, you and your wife are doing way more than I do on a daily basis. Trust me on that. I mean, yeah, I take care of animals. Yes, I take care of. Well, thanks for the big heart. Um, uh, he said you do more than I do, or more than I'm capable of. And but you guys run multiple businesses, and you guys got to look at all the people that you talk to on a regular daily basis. Um, I don't talk to that many people on a daily basis, and yeah, I'm running a homestead. Yeah, I'm doing artwork. Yeah, I'm being with the girlfriend, spending time with the animals. Those type things. But you guys are doing 10 times more than I'm doing in a day. I can guarantee that. And who really wants to, Kurt? I mean, we I know some people you don't want to deal with. Period. That's why my PTSD just got raised by the VA to 70% PTSD, and shows that I am unemployable because of, as they put it, uh, acts of violence could potentially happen in a workplace. And so, yeah, there's that. Because I can fly off the handle real quick. My girlfriend has seen it here recently more than not, especially at the animals whenever they don't listen. And and so, unfortunately for me, that's an aspect of life that I have to live with, and I have to deal with. I have to check myself at the door sometimes. And so for me to, not want to deal with people, that's unfortunately a true statement. Um, I'm always hyper vigilant, if you will, of my situations and surroundings, just because that's me. There's always that potential of something could go wrong. So I'm always on the lookout for the worst case scenario. Um, is it fear? No, it is self preservation, of not just of me, but of the girlfriend or even people in the immediate area. Because as a soldier, you will always be a soldier, no matter what, in any situation. Just like you see the videos of military personnel taking over in a crisis situation, like a robbery happening at a convenience store, or those type things. Instinct kicks in, and you take over without fear or loss of life of yourself. You are thinking about the other people. Just like when we got hit with an IED in Afghanistan, I wasn't thinking about myself. I was thinking about everybody else in the vehicle. You know, so it was Charlie Mike, continue mission. We got hit with the IED. Yeah, we got the concussion blast. All that good stuff, and it scrambled our eggs in our head, but we survived. You know, and that's something I talked to my therapist about, is that we survived that incident. Whereas we had a vehicle after that incident that came in, that was drug into our compound where we were in Afghanistan, and that truck wasn't so lucky. They lost at least one person in there. Two more were injured pretty severely. They had to go back stateside, and their truck was fucked up, um, where the IED hit, because it was technically underneath them, basically. And um, ours wasn't. We got the blast because of how they set it up. They set it up completely wrong. But um, again, we got the percussion blast. It cracked the back glass in one of the other Humvees, and that's how powerful an IED blast is. If you've never been close to any kind of blast and you felt that percussion from it, it's very difficult to explain. The closest I can is, if you've ever been at a rock concert and you've stood close to the speakers and you get that bass and it's just vibrating through your entire body. That's as close as I can get you to what an IED blast feels like, you know? And as Mr. Kirk Holt says, he says, I know many who have heard about this and suffered greatly. Yeah. And we live with that. We live with that daily. I'm woken up in the middle of the night with nightmares from, what I saw, what I experienced, what I did in Afghanistan. You know, and it does. It makes you sick for the rest of your life. And that's when I compensate for other things. Artwork is an outlet for me. Working in the garden is an outlet for me. Taking care of the animals is an outlet for me, because I can forget about reality for a while. I can forget about all the pressures that I'm feeling inside, because I have an outlet. And my life is not one that I would wish on even my worst enemy, because I've been through serious hardships, serious pains. And I'm not talking about just in the military. We'll start with 2008. Well, 2006 if you want to get to the technical spot. Or we can even go back to childhood when my dad died, in a trucking accident. Found out it was a massive heart attack that killed him, but it was the trucking accident didn't help because it sent the bar through his head. You know, 2006. Fast forward from 1984 or 82, 82, 82 or 84 is when my dad passed away. Now, 2006, my grandmother passed away, old age. She was 86, I believe, is what her age was. And then fast forward to that to 2008, 2 years later, my sister gets killed by a drunk driver. We had to follow her wishes, okay? Because she had a DNR. She had a I don't want to live as a vegetable on tubes and life support if I'm not going to get better. So from there, we as a family had to decide to pull the plug because at a certain point in time, after about a week and a half, 2 weeks, she stopped showing any brain functionality whatsoever. They would do what's called a uh, reflex test, where they would take a pen, not one of these, but a normal ballpoint pen, and they would press it into your fingernail. And if you do that with a pen, go ahead and press your fingernail like that with it right there in the on the quick area, or that little white spot that's at the edge of your finger and the fingernail, and press right there. You'll feel the pressure. Well, as you do that in an unconscious state, you pull away 100%. Well, after 2 weeks, she stopped pulling away. They would do it, and she would just sit there. You know, there would be no reaction whatsoever, and they could even see the brain waves just kind of flatline. So that's when they discussed it with us, and then we looked at her will and everything else that she had, living will and everything like that, and we had to make the hard decision. You know, okay, this is her will. This is where she's at. Is she going to get better from here? There is the potential that she could over many, many years later. But again, she says she does not want to live in a vegetative state. So we decided to pull the plug. 45 minutes after they pulled the plug, her breathing on her own, she finally passed. 2009, my son dies in an ATV accident right after graduation. That was the moment in my life that I thought about checking out from this world because you should not be burying your own child. Bottom line. And here I was doing that. And you know, it's one of those things, and I appreciate that. And I'm not here to bring everybody down. I'm just letting you know what's happened in my life. You know that's why I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. You know the things that I've endured, and so that is the point in time that I decided that I wanted to check out. But I had people around me who rallied with me, you know, and they talked me down, if you will. And so I appreciate those people. And it was just a small, very small handful of people. You are tough, my friend, too. You know, you've lost two children yourself. And it's never easy. There's never a day that goes by that you do not wish that they were there. There's not a day that goes by that you do not wish that you could call them to talk to them. There's not a day that goes by that you don't see them out on the street. It was probably about 4 years after my son's death. I was sitting at a restaurant facing the windows because I don't have the window to my back 90% of the time if I can help it. And I see him walk by the window. of that restaurant, mannerisms, um, the look, the physicality, the the movements, everything screamed Logan, my son. But then I had to snap back to reality. Your son's dead. That is not him. But that person embodied everything like my son, that it was just an eerie feeling comes over you, because it's just like you wanted to rush up. You wanted to run out there and give him a hug, you know. But the reality sinks in at the same time that that's not him. He's been gone X amount of years now. But if anybody could have been him, that person that I saw, that kid that I saw walk by that window that day would have been him, you know. So there's never a day, never a moment that you actually get peace from all of that. So 2008, my sister. 2009, my son. 2010, my grandfather. He died of old age. Old age. He was 90. He lived his life, so that's an understandable. But 3 years in a row, death, death, death. Two hard, one hard, but he lived his life to the fullest. You know, he did what he wanted to do. He lived life on his own terms. Logan lived life to the best of his ability and to the fullest, because he was always having fun. But his life was cut short at 17. My sister, life was cut short by a drunk driver. And that was, um, I think she was 43, somewhere in that range. 42, 43, somewhere in that range, when she passed away. So still had a lot of life left in her. I've outlived my father. I've outlived my sister. So I've got my brother still going on. He's 60 something or other, 60 something years old. You know, I'm 53, about to be 54. Now, with that being said, my sister's birthday is in September, X amount of days after mine, September 13th for her. My son's death date is coming up in June, June 16th. And then his birthday is July 8th. So his friends had a birthday party for him in July. Marvel birthday cake, you know, all that good stuff. And, you know, they celebrated his life, you know, the very year, or not this very same year that he passed. So it was a bittersweet celebration for that birthday. And, you know, so there's scars in people's lives, is what I'm trying to get at with all this, that you don't know what they're living with, that you don't know what they are going through, but yet you ridicule, you make fun of, you belittle, you look down on people on a regular basis. And we see it in today's society, from politics to religion to just how people dress, you know. And we as a society need to stop doing that. There was that slogan for a very long time that said, be kind. Why can't we be kind to other people? No matter what nationality they are, no matter what religion they are, no matter what political view they take. Everybody has an opinion. And everybody will gossip about somebody else. Walmart was one of the worst places about gossip, no matter what it was, good, bad, indifferent. And you have to look at people as people. Yeah, sometimes people do stupid things. I've done stupid things in my life, you know. And I haven't been the saint in my own story. because I have fucked things up in my own life, and that's on me. I am a hold on just a second right there. I got to read that. I am of the mind that all of us are becoming the same, and I mean that's a true statement because we all have potential. You 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 know, and but our potential is different. Take Mr. Kirk Holt for example. His potential is to take a business, turn it around, and make it a thriving place to be. And he's done that for years. Me, on the other hand, I take my business and I stay here. I never get here. This is the first year that I feel like I've taken what I've built from here to just a little bit higher here. I'm not here yet, so I'm here, and I'm just here right now. So that you see the small, small difference right there. I want to be here with what I'm doing. And it's like, why can't you get there? Because I'm holding myself back. I don't put enough initiative and drive. And as Isaiah says right here, 32, 1 through 8, much suffering, Jesus loves most of those who suffer most. They're still here. They're just with Jesus. I get all that. I was angry with God when he took my son. 100%. Why wouldn't I be? You know, and I got over that later on in life, but it took me a few years to finally get to the realization that you know well, I appreciate it, Mr. Kirk Holt. He says the effort of yours is going to thrive, and I agree. It is thriving because once I changed my business logo, right there for you guys, it's over here, right there. Once I changed to this business logo right here, things started to change. Um, and I think there was some negative juju on my old business front. Yeah, but we needed him here more. I mean that's the argument I have with a lot of people is that well Jesus needed him more than we needed him here on earth. No, that's not the case. We needed him here to live his legacy out. You know, so there's always going to be an argument with all that, and you know, and we can argue or banter back and forth, not argue, but banter back and forth on that whole subject of Jesus needed the people that died more than we needed them here. Well, those of us that have gone through the loss of losing a child or losing a parent, we would disagree. Well, I agree with that. We all have blessings coming our way. It's just how we choose to receive them, you know. And I look forward to the day that I don't have to wake up and worry about, well, is this bill going to get paid for? Is there going to be food in my refrigerator? Is there going to be enough gas in my car to get where I need to go? I mean, hell, I've been fighting with the Department of Finance and Administration Bonded Title Division for 7 months now on trying to get a title for my truck, you know. And I'm supposedly going to be getting it this month, according to them, after 7 months of fighting with them over this. And, you know, I'm going to be happy with that once it does happen. Don't put faith faith and worry in the same conversation. Yeah, and you know, I'm at this point in time, I'm not worrying about a lot. And Isaiah 32 said that they've lost everything. And I get that. A lot of people do lose everything. And I sincerely hate that for you. I hate that for anybody that's lost everything in their life, you know. But you do have to have faith, in aspects, you know. And I do have the faith that this what I'm building is going to thrive and become something great that I don't have to fret over certain things, certain aspects in life. And it's just a good feeling to know that there's been some circumstances that have turned around, in my life here recently that are going to allow me to breathe a little bit easier. And the things that are coming are greater than the things that I've been doing. And that's a good feeling to be able to so well, I appreciate that, Isaiah 32. Um yes, blessings are coming, and not just for me. Blessings are coming for you guys out there. And then guy says no thanks. I don't know to what, but okay. Um but you know so many things happen in people's lives that you don't know their whole story, but yet we ridicule those people. We, again, belittle, make fun of, because, oh, look at that fool over there, look at that idiot, look at this guy that's being an idiot talking to you know thousands of people on his own show, you know making a fool out of himself, talking about hardships and things like that. And but we have to get that release out there somewhere. Mine comes out in bursts of anger periodically, you know. And guy says, "You do that." Well, I'll do whatever I want. This is my show. And it's an aspect of life that we need to be kind to other people. And if you don't want to be kind, then that's on you. You know, you can be an angry, bitter person on a regular basis. And well, that's a tricky little thing right there. Who said this? I create good and I create evil. Because some people would say God created that quote. But then other people would say, no, it wasn't God, it was a Buddha or Confucius or, those type things. So, is there a correct answer? So Bugs Bunny said that, I create good and I create evil. That's what Guy says. Guy says Bugs Bunny created that quote. Bugs Bunny was a good cartoon back in the day until Elmer Fudd got his gun taken away. For today's society, I had to take his gun and give him, other trapping instruments. But yes, Kirk, there's conversation to Cyrus in Isaiah. There you go. So see, there you go. Yeah, word up to Texas. Careful. Um, but no, we all go through something in life that you can either choose to be bitter and be bitter towards other people, including your own family? Or how can you change your circumstance? What is it that you can do in you that's going to change your circumstance? And he follows with, I am God. So there you go. So as it's saying right there that God created good and evil. So, and what circumstances do you need to change in your life to move you forward to that step, to move you forward to that place that you want to be? Do you want to be a lemming the rest of your life, following somebody that is going to tell you what to do on a regular basis? And I'm not talking religion, I'm talking about job wise. Or do you want to be the boss of your own life, your own existence? Um, that's what I came to the realization with whenever my bosses ended up pissing me off because no communication, blackballing, um, putting pressure on me on a constant basis that was unwarranted. But once that got to the pissed off level, I changed my 2 week letter of notice to a resignation letter and walked out the door, leaving all my stuff behind because they pissed me off to the final straw that it's just like it's going to be better for me to work on my own and do my own damn thing than continue to be manipulated, continue to be pressured, continue to be stressed out, continue to be, you know, um, put under a magnifying glass on a daily basis, continue to have no conversation, continue to be looked over for promotions, continue to, I mean, the list goes on and on. And I came to the realization that I'm going to punch somebody. I'm going to get into a fist fight with my boss and my team lead that it's time for me to walk away, you know? And especially when they didn't care enough when I went out with my mother's brain surgery to even have a conversation with me, you know? The store manager held a conversation with me, but my own boss, my own team lead couldn't have a conversation with me, period. It pissed me off and showed what kind of character those people had, you know. And it was only after the fact that said, "Hey, I put my letter of resignation on your desk," did they come back and start talking to me. And it was like, "Oh, we're sorry to see you go. We hate to see you go." No, you don't. You're happy that I'm walking out the door. You're happy that, I quit on my own terms so that you wouldn't have to fire me for whatever reason. And I'd worked there almost 10 years. And the last 2 of those 10 years, I was shy of 10 years by 4 months, I think, is what it was, 4 or 5 months. And I'm trying to think. No, it was 6 months. It was 6 months that because I left in October 26th of 2023, and they were happy that I was gone, 100%. Now the person that took my job, she wishes she hadn't taken my job now because she is seeing what I was going through, and it's not so bad now with the new boss that they've got, but she still doesn't like it as much as she did when she first started. Because within 2 to 3 months after she started, she already saw what I was going through. And but for the last 2 years of that, they were putting me under a microscope, blackballing, not answering conversations, not answering phone calls, not answering text messages when you need them to be doing what they're supposed to be doing. And so, shameful. People show themselves. You're going to get there. Won't be long now. Just keep at it. Oh, I'm not going anywhere. Whenever I changed over my new logo and killed my old business of AGK back in uh, December 31st of 2024, even my mother thought I was giving up artwork. And I said, Mom, just wait. Just wait. Just don't freak out. Quit freaking out. Because she was like, you can't give up your artwork. You do so good at that. And I'm like, Mom, just hold on. Just wait. And I'm like, boom, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, I unveil 412 Productions. And 412 Productions is not a biblical thing. It is a time frame. Because I used to wake up at 412 in the mornings. And um, one day, after many years of waking up at 412, I tried to go back to sleep. And after looking at my phone, putting it down, and of course it was 412, and I lay down, closed my eyes, and Productions, like a blinding light, hit my eyes. And I said, Productions, what does this mean? And I put 412 Productions together, and I was like, that's pretty catchy. And so for about 6 years, I held on to it. I I had it in my brain. I didn't do anything with it. Well, come 2024, towards the end of things, San Antonio was the deciding factor that it was time to change 100%. And just in case, like I said, there was any bad juju or negative connotations towards my old business, my old life, because who I am back then isn't who I am today. And I'm a lot more bold, I'm a lot more outspoken. Um, you know, that's why we don't talk about politics or religion here, is because people lose their damn minds one too many times whenever you start talking about those two subjects. And that's not what this platform is. This platform is, if you need help, my DMs are open. My messages are open. You can hit me up if you're struggling with something out there. Now, if it's financially, I can't quite help you there because I'm not financially stable myself. I mean, I'm not saying I don't have money. I'm just saying that I'm an idiot when it comes to money sometimes. So, um, and you're welcome. Thank you. I appreciate it. Appreciate that. Life is hard. Life is hard. Life is hard for a lot of people, and so many people make it public that their life is hard. You know, um, I see so many Facebook posts. I see so many posts on TikTok that someone's crying over. Someone is complaining about this, complaining about that. But are they changing their circumstances in their own life too? Now, sometimes circumstances are handed to us and it's shitty. Okay? And yes, I cuss on my channel. I apologize, but I don't apologize. That some circumstances that they get handed are just plain up shit for them, you know? And someone said something that just got filtered. I don't know what someone said. I know Matt said Jesus and laughter, but somebody else said something else that just got filtered. Um, so watch what you say. This is still regulated. There isn't free speech anywhere, um, except on my recorded channel up here, and then that goes through. So probably truth. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know what was said. I mean, a friend of mine put, and I don't even know if I can say it on here, um, that he said YUCKY on some steak, and it got filtered out, you know, and but It's okay, Ricky. I understand, man. It's still sitting here. I sent you the video of me autographing that piece of artwork, and it's all good. I wasn't fretting, you know. I know you're true to your word, so it's all good. It's still sitting here. It's waiting for you. I got to dig out the stickers, which I'm actually going to be redoing my office today. So I know you're not ignoring me. It's all good, brother. And I've got to dig out my stickers anyway. So um, I'll be doing that today as I clean out my office because I'm actually going to tear my office apart and put it back together. You know, so there's that. So no worries. I got you, brother. It's sitting right here. The piece you wanted. The Sasquatch doing the Johnny Cash impersonation because a military buddy of mine wanted this done, and he ended up getting stickers from it. He didn't buy the original, but this is Mr. Sasquatch flipping you off, Johnny Cash style, Folsom Folsom Prison Blues style right there. So it says make today after work. Okay, that's cool. I got transferred some money to. Oh no, don't worry about that. Uh, you get me paid when you get me paid. Okay. Um, and it's not going anywhere. It's yours. You claimed it, and so Ricky, don't worry about it. Don't fret. Just breathe, let it out, and let things flow. I've had to learn that myself. I've had to not give a shit on a lot of things because there's so much stuff that I've held inside. I'm one of those that when life gets infuriating for me, I hold it inside. And it's just like it's not good for you. Because when mine comes out, it comes out in anger. Um, and that's not good for anybody. And that's what my psychiatrist said as well. That's why he recommended I was not basically employable. So, and sweet, yes, I want it ASAP. Appreciate you, bud. No problem. I mean, like I said, you claimed it, and you came to me and talked to me personally about it. It's yours, you know, and I want it in your hands ASAP as well. But I understand circumstances too. That's why I do a layaway program. With my artwork, I understand that some people can't spend the full $220 for my artwork. That's not what this cost, but that the Sasquatch piece there, flipping you off, that one didn't cost that much. But the other ones, my 11 by 15s, are $250 a piece. You know, and then my paintings can start at $100 up to $10,000, depending on what you want. And I have layaway programs to pay off. You don't get the artwork until it's paid off, but through my artwork, I make it easy on people um, to pay as you can. And, I don't even get started on the artwork until half is paid, you know. So once half payment is made, then I'll get started on the artwork. But right now, I'm whoever's next in line is already on is the sixth person in on my commission list right now. So, I do have layaway. So if anybody wants artwork out there, I have layaway. I've got tons of artwork readily available right now. I've got 3 portfolios sitting right here on the floor to my left that is full of artwork from the blank comic book covers that I worked on to just my 11 by 15s and 9 by 12 images. Now I have paintings that are sitting behind me too. A sweet Joker painting that needs to go to somebody's house and be in somebody's wall, office, house, man room, woman room, a she shed, whatever. Uh, I got a sweet Dexter piece that's here. I got a Chester Bennington piece here, you know. And if you're watching me on YouTube and Facebook, you can actually see that over here, the pieces that I do have readily available. Just like, I don't know if anybody's into Art the Clown. Terrifier. But I have this piece right here that is a pretty sick, sweet piece that needs to be at somebody's house right now. It's a saw blade. Yes, an actual saw blade. And then it's got a base that it sits in right here that says the art of art, like he painted it in the people's blood, you know. And this sits just like this. Let me straighten it up right there. Like that on this base, and you can put your cell phone, your keys, whatever you want to right here on it. This is 150 bucks. This is something new I'm trying. I've got a Billy the Puppet as well from Saw on a saw blade, and I'll show that to you right now. Same concept, but he says, "I want to play a game." Right there. Same concept, right there. He sits on a base. You put your keys, your cell phone, whatever you want, your mail, right here, because you want to play a game with your mail, right? Because oh well, it's a bill collector, it's a debt collector, it's whatever, you know, it's an unpaid bill, you know. I want to play a game with that. Do I burn it? Do I throw it in the trash? Do I pay it? Those type of things. So there you go. Two options right now with those. I've got 7 more that I'm going to be working on. I've got 7 more saw blades. I'm going to put Ghostface on one. I'm going to put, you know, this, that, and the other. I'm not sure what all is going to go on these yet, but those are some of the new aspects, the new life I'm breathing into my artwork to get more people interested, more people involved. I'm starting the 3D print section. One of these days, I'll be making 3D prints of my own characters, my own action figures, things of that nature. So a lot is happening, and I'm looking forward to. And that's what this year is a rebuild year of my business. And so far, it's going good. So far, so good. So, but that's enough for today. I love each and every one of you. I do. I appreciate each and every one of you being here, checking out the channel. Like, share, follow. Go up here to my profile page. You can find my links up there. You'll find a link to my website. You can go up there and you can follow all the rest of my socials from Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and here on TikTok. You will be able to find me here as well. I am Monty with 412 Productions, and as I like to say, as we leave you, we will catch you on the flip side. Have a good day, everybody.